Hey everyone, John Henry from School of Trade. Today we're going to be taking a look at a short trade here on the NASDAQ, a wave pattern short right out of the trigger zone, coming into a beautiful setup back to the downside. Now, based on the day type that we're seeing, it makes a lot more sense initially to leave our stop a little farther back, assume the extra initial risk, and then once we start moving in our direction, locking that risk up. So at the moment, 34 and a quarter is going to be where the stop is. The second target's going to be at 20.5, so we're going to go a couple ticks ahead of that and just go to 21 and a quarter. We're going to take everything off there. So the overall movement that we're getting right now on the NASDAQ has been pretty firm, right? If we zoom out a little bit, we can see that we're relatively range bound, but with a downside bias. We're seeing the sellers try to come in. The buyers tried taking it higher. They couldn't even break that prior swing and then dropped right back down to new lows. So we are heavily bearish overall, and there's a couple different types of setups that you can utilize. Right now, we have a smaller wave pattern short. You could also be looking for the larger one, right? The larger wave pattern from major high to major low, and we just rejected out of that area. Now, a lot of times these big waves require really big stops because it's a big wave, right? So because of that, you can utilize a smaller wave to get into a larger wave, and that's exactly what we're doing right now. So our entry, that's why our stop is a little bit farther back, because it's not going to be perfect. Our entry is never going to be exact when you're looking at a major wave pattern like that. Using the smaller ones will get a lot more accurate, but you'll see it's going to fluctuate around a little bit. All the same rules persist. We're still looking for the same targets to the downside, just the initial risk has to be a little bit higher at first, and as we start seeing some movement back in our direction, then we can really start kind of locking in with the move. So you can see right here, they tried to trap that high, 46.32 and a quarter triggered one tick above that swing, and then it pushed back down. So if we start seeing a little bit of extra bearishness coming in here, it wouldn't be a surprise to see us be able to lock our stop in above that high. But for right now, we're looking at an overall move from our entry, 46.30 down to the first target at 25 and a half, 4.5 points right there. Taking 4 off there, and then the final portion all the way down here at 21 and a quarter. That's 8 3/4 points. So all in all, essentially what we're looking for is everything just to be kind of a slower move, kind of, just because it is a little bit more range bound. But we are looking for a good push down into our final targets down there at 21 and a quarter. So it's going to take a little bit of time. I'm not expecting this to go crazy fast or anything like that, but we'll just kind of sit on hands and let it do what it needs to do. But overall, we have plenty of profit potential sitting on the table here with 4.5 and 8 3/4 points off at the total. That's quite a bit of profit working to the downside. So even though it's a NASDAQ, if you're not familiar with the NASDAQ, it ticks at $5 a tick. Even with that being said, if you trade a little bit of a larger size because it is a cheaper market, you end up still doing just fine. Absolutely nothing wrong with the NASDAQ. It's a beautiful market overall, and it can get you some really solid setups. In this case, we're looking at a total of 53 points. So we've got 53 points potential to the downside. Now, 53 points, it's 4 ticks in a point, so it's 212 ticks that we're looking for. So 212 ticks, if we get them all filled, that's $5 a tick. So we're looking at 1,060 on the trade if we can get this thing to fall back down. Now, once we get our first target filled at 25 and a half, we'll definitely be looking to lock our stop in where we can, and we can already see the market turning around, so we can get our initial risk a little bit lower here down. Yeah, and we're bursting right into that first target. So the stop moves to 32.5. Nice little small stop here, and let's see if they can push down and get that first target. Once they get that one, stop goes to break even. We'll just look to ride the rest out down to 21 and a quarter. So we're getting close. There we go. We get that filled. So stop will go to break even, and now we're just looking for the rest of the move down, especially if we can get breaking below this 24 area. That's kind of key support right now, and we really need to see the sellers crack that level. If we can break through that level, we honestly shouldn't have that much of a problem dropping low to the next one at 21 and a quarter, but we need to see this low broken first. So we'll give it a little bit of time here. We got our first target taken off. Now we'll just see if they can break that next area and get down to our target. All right, we're seeing the sellers break through that low. That's exactly what we wanted to see. And because of that, we can get our stop a little bit closer here. 27.5 is a good place for the stop at the moment. You'll notice once they broke through, they tried snapping back, and they gave a little test of that first target area before turning right back down. So honestly, you could use that as your stop and just say, well, I really don't want to see price come back above that area. And we're already pushing in. One tick away. We want to lock out all the risk here. We don't want this thing to turn around at all. Yeah, and there we go. We get that target filled. So one beautiful swing back to the downside after they trapped everyone in that swing high using too tight of a stop. And, well, they missed the whole move down. That allowed us to get into a beautiful rip lower. And again, that's 212 ticks. It's 1,060 on this move down. And I mean, we are expecting this to continue its descent down, but keep in mind, it is a relatively range-bound day, so it would not be a surprise at all now that we've gotten back to a new low to see it pop right back up again, mess around to this area before trying again. So, we do have a downside bias, but pay attention to the fact that it is also a slight range on the day as well. So you can't look for massive targets, but you can pick up some pretty nice moves. This is a good example. 212 ticks, 1,060 on the trade, and that's going to do it. So if you have any questions about it, feel free to shoot an email to School of Trade. Don't forget to check out our trial at schooloftrade.com. And as always, we'll catch you next time.